Hello everyone, and this presentation will be talking about building a basic GUI application, and it's by Mark Lee. So let's get started. So in this first step, tkinter is a part of a standard Python distribution, so we expect it to be present, so we just import it, as you can see from here. And in tkinter, we inherit from tkinter.tk, which is a base class for standard Windows. Step 3. So a simple app.tk derives from tkinter.tk. So we have to call the tkinter constructor, which is this part. As a GUI is a hierarchy of objects, a button may be contained in a pane, which is contained in a tab, which is contained in a window, etc. So each GUI element has a parent, its container usually. That's why both constructors have parent parameter. Keeping track of parents is useful when we have to hide a group of widgets, repeat them on screen, or simply destroy them when application exists. It is a good habit when building any type of GUI component to keep a reference to our parents. It's usually best to have a portion of code which creates all of GUI elements, buttons, text field, etc., separate from the logic of the program. That's why we create this initialize method. We'll create all our widgets, buttons, text field, etc. in this method. Now we have created a class, and let's use it. We create a main which is executed when the program is run from the command line. In tkinter, we instantiate our class app.simpleapp.tk, as you can see from here. We give no parent none because it's the first GUI element as we build. We also give a type to our parent app title, as you can see from here. Now we tell each program to loop with .main loop. So what's that? It means that each program will now loop indefinitely, waiting for events using clicking a button, pressing keys, or operating centers, making our application to quit, etc. The tkinter and wx Python main loops will receive these events and handle them accordingly. This is called event-driven programming because the program will do nothing but wait for events and only react when it receives an event. There are several ways to put widgets in a window or another container. Add them side by side, horizontally, vertically, in grid, etc. So there are different classes called layout managers, capable of placing the widgets in containers in different ways. Some are more flexible than others. Each container, window, pane, tab, dialog, etc. can have its own layout manager. I recommend the grid layout manager. It's a simple grid where you put your widgets just like you would put things in a spreadsheet, Excel for example. For example, putting a button at column 2, row 1, put a checkbox at column 5, row 3, etc. If you have to learn one, learn this one. In tkinter, calling self-grid will simply create the grid layout manager and tell our windows to use it, as you can see from here. To add a widget, you always first create the widget and add it to a layout manager. First, we create the widget. In tkinter, we create the entry widget self-entry.equal tkinter.entry as you can see from here. In both cases, we pass self as parent parameter because our window will be the parent of this widget. They will appear in our window. In tkinter, we call the .grid method on the widget. We indicate where to put it in the grid and column equals 0, row equals 0. When a cell grows larger than the widget it contains, you can ask the widget to stick to some edges of the cell. That's the sticky EW. E is east, left, W is east, left, and W is west, right. And it's north, top, S is south, bottom. We specify EW, which means the widget will try to stick to both left and right edges of its cell. That's one of our goals, have the text entry expand when the window is resized. It's quite easy in both cases, so create a button and add it. Note that in this case, we do not keep a reference to the button because we will not read or alter its value later. We also create an add the label. This is a label object in tkinter. For the color, we use a white text and on a blue background, as you can see from here. And for text alignment, in tkinter, anchor equal W means that the text should be left aligned in the label. For the label position grid in tkinter, this is again the .grid method, but this time we also span it across two cells so that it appears below the text field and the button dot. This is a column span equal to 2 parameter. For the label expansion, again, we use the sticky equal EW for tkinter. Now we tell the layout manager to resize its columns and rows when the window is resized. Well, not the rows, only the first column equals 0. That's grid underscore column configure, as you can see from here, for tkinter. Notice that there are addition parameters. For example, some columns can grow more than other when resized. That's when the weight parameter is 4. In our case, we simply set it to 1, as you can see from here. Now we prevent the vertical resizing of the window. In tkinter, we use .resizable true or false. Event handlers are methods which will be called when something happens in the GUI. We bind the event handlers to specific widgets on specific events only. So let's do something when the button is clicked or enter is pressed in text field. We create onButtonClick method, which is called when the button is clicked. We create onPressEnter method, which will be called then enter is pressed in the text field. Then we bind these methods to the widgets. For the button in tkinter, we simply add command equals self.onButtonClick. And for text field in tkinter, we use bind method. Therefore, clicking on the button will trigger on the onButtonClick method. Pressing enter in the field will also trigger onPress method. In tkinter, each time you want to read or set values in a widget, text field label, checkbox, radio button, etc., you have to create a tkinter variable and bind it to the widgets. There are several tkinter variables types: string var, int var, double var, boolean var. Now let's read the value of the text file and display it in a blue label. In tkinter, we have to create a tkinter variable again, so that we can do a self.entry variable.get. As we have the text variable to access the tkinter text field content, we can also set the default value, enter text here, and hello. Here is a small refinement. The text field will be automatically selected as the user presses enter or clicks the button, so that he or she can immediately type a new text again, replacing the existing one. We first set the focus in this element, focus set or set focus, then select all the text, selection underscore range or set selection. tkinter has a small size hiccup. It will try to accommodate window size all the time to widgets. This is nice, but not always as desired behavior. For example, type a long text in a text field, press enter, the window grows. Type a short text again, press enter, the window shrinks. So this is my reference. This is where I got my information from, and Miss Mock definitely helped us found this website. So we also have to reference her. Thank you for listening. Bye.